Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your co-pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue on our journey into the deep of the Chinese language by coming across just one Chinese expression a day. Yesterday, we talked about 五湖四海, which I show you a map of which 5 lakes and which 4 seas, the major geographical locations marked by these waterways or water bodies. To represent people from everywhere that geographically located, because eventually one way or the other, you're going to live close to some sort of water, right? So that's a representation of people from everywhere. And Hai is the biggest water body, which is the sea, and the phenomenon of all the rivers, all the streams, all the waters, right, are going to find their path down to the sea. And I'm pointing toward the right because I grew up in China, and China has this geographical location of the land is on the west and the sea are going on the east to China. So eventually that's always the flowing of the water from the left, the higher ground, to the east, the lower ground. So I'm always going there. All right. 海纳百川 is today's expression. Basically talks about the sea is going to accept. I use the original meaning of this word. Na means soak, and 百 100 chuan streams. Okay, one by one. Okay, 海 simply sound and meaning maker. Wait, no, this is the meaning maker. The 3 dots are the water, kind of like this, simplified, right? Something related to water, and on the right side is a sound maker, combined in making this character of means the sea. Na, okay, again, meaning maker on the left, this zigzag structure came from this. So it got 2 knots and something like that. It's related to textile. So something related to fabric, and very interesting structure over there. It looks just like that, right? Except it's now squarish. Everything is corner with a right angles. But originally you can see it's concave, but with the arch form, and it's kind of an indicator of something inside, actually. So I don't know exactly why, but it kind of like a pointing toward the inside, right? Except it poked through, but it's a pointer into the inside of a structure. It means 内. So fabric. And the right side is 内. It's a sound maker, I mean, now transformed into na. But we can read it also as a meaning maker because it means the fabric are going to absorb, 内, internalize something. And according to some scholars, it's water they're going to be absorbing. So fabric soaking up in water, absorbing, internalize. I mean, internalize in terms of their structure, like between the fabric, the threads, they are going to contain some water. That's how fabric soaking water, right? So that soaking becomes like, okay, taking in. Eventually that becomes like accept. Like you imagine the fabric or sponge to taking in, soaking in fluid, right? To hide water in between their structures. That's the kind of soaking, and that's the kind of taking, absorbing. So the sea are going to absorb or taking in or soaking in 100. 100 simply means many, many. So last time we talked about 五湖四海. That's the major, like you can really name exactly which 4 seas and 5 lakes we're talking about. And here is 100. That means many, many. Is almost max out your 1010 digital counting. And it's interesting because we have to understand how characters was created, how ancient people try to capture the concept of 100, right? It's not like pronunciation system, it's like custom, right? customs. People just make that sound to mean 100, and enough people say it, people commonly understand 100 means 10 tens, right? But in Chinese, I guess it's a sound customs as well, because on the top is the letter 1. So that means one object. And that's the starting point. You have 1, you have something countable there, 1. And the bottom, this, you can see this is upside down of this, right? So this concave shape, container, contains something. And it's also a pointer pointing outward, something like pointing out at that 1. And then there is some content in the middle of that. But if we erase this top portion, this horizontal line, just the bottom, just like when we look at a contemporary simplified Chinese, if we erase the top portion, just the bottom of it, it means the color white. Doesn't make sense, right? I mean, how come that means white? A box with this pointer thing and with content over there, that means white. Maybe one day I can figure out why some Chinese character creators make this structure to indicate it actually means color white, but it pronounced as bai. It's the sound maker. Now it used here as the sound maker, something related to numbers, right? We started with number 1 with a sound like bai, transformed into bai, that become 100. So I guess in that sense too, like we have a little bit of, okay, it's a numerical sense, right? And then the sound is bai, and then in our language, it becomes 100. So in a sense, I guess it's similar, like 100, 10, 10 is difficult to express. So it's by the sound, people, all of them unifyingly using that sound, 100 or bai in either language, that means 100, 10 tens, okay? Chuan, 3 streams. So that's just a visual depiction of the streams. No explanation needed. This is a well-captured imagery of the streams. So 海纳百川 is a beautiful concept because it talks about, and I can link it to contemporary popular concept in English. Sorry, Google Slides is slow today. Okay, I'm very proud of the image I'm capturing over here to illustrate this inclusiveness. Okay, inclusivity is the key word of today's, at least in American culture, that we're talking about diversification and inclusive. So regardless of people's backgrounds, choices, or differences, we are all inclusive. That's the ideal society, because yeah, people do come from different, like everywhere, 五湖四海, right? Now the scale is scaling up, not just China's 5 lakes and 4 seas, but it's all over the world, like an immigrant country to America. That's like the sea, right? Taking the streams of people from everywhere with different cultural attributes, right? And appearance too, like it looks different. But inclusive is the sign guide, right? The spirit of the time. And I find us 2 pictures from 2 performance or art forms in the Chinese culture, pop culture, and American pop culture, and find this amazing crisscrossing of meaning-making process. So this is a kind of horizontal image, but because it's too long, it's vertically saved. It came from this pose of a dance. It's called 直此青绿. It became popular this year, especially because it was performed on the biggest TV event of the year in China. So every Chinese now know about this dance. 青绿 is a color, is a type of aquoy or turquoise color that got this. It's an imitation of nature's color. It's bluish, greenish, mushy color. that kind of looking mysteriously. I mean, this becomes artificial color, right? But it was taken from nature. So mountain color or sea color, and then this stage effect got this reflection to mean it's about mountains and the waters, and the mountain reflecting in waters. And we're talking about the sea and the rivers, right? And the streams, this taking in everything. So this kind of like all kind of poses and shapes of these dancers posing next to the reflection, and to show, okay, there are different, body shapes or images, postures they're making, but all of them together form this beautiful unified art form, right? So this is kind of 海纳百川 in the Chinese form. And in English here is I take this from the famous movie Matrix. So all these lines, I mean, it was originally from the screen dropping down, kind of like a falling, the rain falling, except it's digital rain, digital numbers, like all this arcade, like non-decipherable visually to a regular audience. But I guess first it meant to be some coded messages, right? Yeah, encrypted message, meaning that it was captured everything, everyday life, or your world was captured everything in digital form, and everything can be somewhere along that code of line. So this is trying to capture the whole world, all the complexities of the world into this digital form, this data, right? And then eventually you can hack it somehow. But I also move it sideways so that it's viewing this way, and to correspond to the images created by this dance group about the nature, about the mountain, the seas. And you kind of can see color-wise or shape-wise, there is this streaming of all that differences, right? All this are different. You can see these are different sizes or different messages, different lengths of messages. There are all kinds of visual differences over there, but they are all together, all coming together to this digital world. And these are all coming together to this dance performance to represent nature, the mountains reflecting in the river. And these are the natural color turned into this artificial color. And I guess here, this greenish color, also kind of a nature color, but become neuron color, which is, I mean, neon, right? Neon color becomes like artificial color. This is the artificial color, and that's representation of this digital world. So there is this great visual representation of how diversity, differences can come together to create either a digital world or a beautiful dance together. And that's the kind of inclusivity we're talking about. And Chinese expression we use, the sea are going to soak in or take in all many hundreds of streams together. And that's what sea do, take in everything, become part of it, one big water body. Okay, cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.